Some melodies in video games don't just accompany a place, they are the place. One of them being the Kakariko Village theme, a piece which traveled through generations of Zelda titles, while quietly carrying the same emotional core. It's the sound of a peaceful moment, a village untouched by time, always waiting for you to return. In this video, we are going to trace the journey of this beloved theme across 3 Zelda titles. We'll start with the original, explore how it was reimagined in Ocarina of Time, and then dig into the clever and easy to miss homage hidden within Wind Waker's Windfall Island. Let's begin where it all started, on the Super Nintendo. The SNES version of the Kakariko theme sets the tone for what this melody would represent for decades to come. A place of peace, simplicity, and stability amidst the chaos of Hyrule. As the starting area of the game, Kakariko offers a safe zone. No enemies, no real threats, just people going about their lives. The harmony is relatively simple, but not completely easy to identify. It moves from B flat to G minor to something resembling C7 sus4 and F7, essentially a 1-6-2-5 progression. It's simple, but the more complex chord extensions help to keep it interesting. The rhythm is likely in 6-8, emphasized by the string arpeggios that create a swaying, pendulum-like motion, like strolling home at the end of a long day. Despite the Super Nintendo's limited audio capabilities, Koji Kondo manages to make the piece feel rich and layered, largely through creative use of arpeggios and spacing. The heart of the piece is the iconic 6-note motif that feels as familiar as a daily routine, centered on chord tones that create a feeling of comfort. It's mainly played by a string instrument and a woodwind, perhaps a violin and a pan flute. It's the sound of villagers living their daily lives, predictable, modest, and full of warmth. The motif starts and ends on F, which offers a feeling of closure through ending where it started, yet also suggests openness, as F serves as the dominant, musically capturing a place that's calm and self-contained, but still connected to the larger world beyond. As the piece moves forward, it introduces a celesta or glockenspiel in place of the woodwinds, adding a music box-like innocence. The melody begins to descend gently, with smaller intervals leading back to the tonic, like a villager ending their day and quietly returning home. The harmony remains simple, but is cleverly reused in different ways. A D note appears over 3 different chords: G minor, C7 sus4 and F7. It's a subtle trick, reharmonizing a single pitch to show how the same idea can mean something different. In this village, the days may look the same, but each one is lived a little differently. The arpeggios are now thicker in texture, faster in pace, and the 6-8 feel is less pronounced. The B section continues with the more mature arpeggios and a more introspective feel. The melody drifts downward again before leaping up an octave and gradually falling back down, as if daydreaming, then returning to reality. The harmony here stays longer on each chord at first, then speeds up into a quicker series of changes. One particularly charming moment involves a reharmonization of the same melodic note, first over a B flat major chord, then unexpectedly over a D diminished. It's a subtle shift that adds just a flicker of tension before returning to the familiar chord progression. The final phrase of the section is quite unusual, ending after just 3 measures instead of the expected 4. It breaks the pattern we've come to rely on, a subtle shortening that catches the ear off guard. Metaphorically, this is a reminder that in Kakariko, life isn't governed by precision, but by feeling, humanity. Predictable, yes, but not mechanical. There's beauty in those small imperfections. No matter what Link goes through, the people of Kakariko remain mostly unchanged. Isolated from the world's dangers, they are the calm in the storm. In Ocarina of Time, Kakariko returns, but instead of reinventing the theme, the N64 version refines and enhances it. Everything that worked in the original is still there, but now it's been adapted with improved instrumentation, dynamic expression, and more nuanced harmonization. Compared to the crowded bustle of Hyrule Castle Town, Kakariko feels like a place set apart. Simpler, slower, more rooted. Gone are the orchestral strings. The arpeggios are now performed on what sounds like a nylon string guitar. Perhaps with the bass supporting the lower end, giving the theme a more folk-like, intimate feel. The melody is now played on a harmonica, decorated with grace notes that feel almost improvised, like a song not written on sheet music, but passed down through generations. Through the new instrumentation, the theme feels less orchestral and more rooted in everyday life. Amateurish, as if someone in the village is playing it themselves. This version also takes advantage of the N64's greater expressive capabilities. There's a slight retardando at the end of phrases, allowing the music to feel more natural, more like a real performance than a programmed loop. On the repetition, the ocarina joins in to double the melody, a clever nod to its central role in the game. The ocarina also disappears just as the Celesta or Glockenspiel section begins, preventing the arrangement from becoming too crowded and preserving the simplicity of the original. In the B section, the ocarina returns, not as the lead, but as harmony, gently weaving a new voice beneath the melody. It adds emotional depth without changing the core identity of the theme. The guitar now plays stacked notes, filling out the harmony and making each chord shift more pronounced. A B diminished chord appears, adding a gorgeous moment of tension. But like everything in this theme, it resolves with grace. The piece loops with a final retardando as a soft landing, which makes the quote-unquote missing measure of the ending less harsh. To me, this version of Kakariko perfectly captures the feeling of a village that hasn't changed, even as Link matures and the world around him darkens. While nearly every character and location in Ocarina of Time shifts in tone between child and adult Link, Kakariko remains a constant in some ways, a peaceful memory preserved in time. Now here's the most surprising part, and one I didn't even notice until recently. Wind Waker's Windfall Island theme is a subtle but brilliant homage to the Kakariko theme. It's not immediately obvious because the tone is so different, faster, more upbeat, and set in a dancier 4/4 rhythm, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Windfall Island is a trading hub, lively, colorful, filled with movement and chatter. It sits somewhere between Castletown and Kakariko, a place of civilization, but not like a big capital. And while its theme sounds entirely new on the surface, there's something hauntingly familiar beneath it. The theme begins with a harpsichord, or maybe a honky-tonk piano, playing a bright new melody, supported by dance-like percussion, a tambourine, shaker, and small drums. The rhythm is now unmistakably 4/4, upbeat and percussive, giving it the feel of a marketplace at full swing. The bass, likely a bassoon, bounces with cheerful energy. But then something changes. Around measure 10, the ocarina enters, and it plays the first phrase of the Kakariko melody, camouflaged by the rhythm and arrangement, but it's undeniably there. It's then answered by a new phrase, a musical conversation between past and present. The Kakariko melody returns once again, followed by another newly written answering phrase. Later, the continuation of the Kakariko theme appears on the harpsichord. Now, the B section of the theme is played by a flute. The way the melody is handed off between instruments brings a sense of variety, like voices trading stories across a busy village square. The original moments of tension in the Kakariko theme are gone, replaced by more straightforward harmony. Lighter, simpler, less introspective. A final harpsichord flourish closes the loop, and the music begins again, fitting the island's upbeat personality. What makes this homage so brilliant is how understated it is. The Kakariko melody is woven in so naturally, so effortlessly, that many players miss it entirely. But once you hear it, it reframes the entire piece. Windfall Island is not Kakariko, and yet, in a strange way, it is. The windmill remains, the graveyard reduced to a lone gravestone, and the iconic theme hidden in a joyful disguise. A new version of an old world, a reflection of something long submerged, still shining through the surface. It's also worth mentioning the Kakariko theme in Twilight Princess. While it's largely a new composition, there are moments where the iconic 6-note motif resurfaces. It's a small echo of familiarity in a theme that otherwise feels like a fresh start. The Kakariko Village theme has grown alongside the Zelda series. Each version tells its own story. In A Link to the Past, Kakariko is a sanctuary, a place untouched by conflict. In Ocarina of Time, it becomes a memory preserved across time, a village that feels the same no matter how much the world around it shifts. And in Wind Waker, its spirit is reborn in disguise, a musical memory carried forward in a new world that, to some extent, still remembers where it came from. Lastly, I should mention that I'm not a professional, so feel free to always take things like my notation or interpretation with a grain of salt. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, And a big thank you as well for all the kind comments and feedback on the last video. I'm happy about every new comment I read. A lot of you suggested ideas for future videos, and I'm still trying to find a good balance between your interests and my own. I hope you learned something new from this video. See you in the next one.